Well, hi. This is Brian Janey, the piano appraiser. I'm a registered piano technician with the Piano Technicians Guild, as well as an accredited appraiser with the American Society of Appraisers. And on this channel, the Piano Appraiser channel, we talk about the do's and don'ts of piano care, tips for buying and selling pianos, as well as various scenarios regarding appraisal. If you like the content, like and subscribe, and I'll keep doing videos. How's that? Yeah, it's a big help just to let me know. Give me a little feedback, maybe, just a little. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about buying a piano. This is kind of a circumstance that I find myself frequently having clients, people call me and they're thinking about buying this piano, thinking about doing this. And these are the general steps that I go through with people when I'm having a conversation about that. And there's 7 different things. The last one that I'll have at the end of the video is actually the most important. So I hope you can hang on and, get through to that, because it is the critical element that a lot of people don't generally pick up on when they're out shopping for a piano. But the first thing to know, number 1, don't be in a hurry. When you're shopping for a piano, realize you're buying something that literally could be in your house for years and even decades. As a piano technician, I've got clients that got their piano new, and I've literally been taking care of it for 25 or more years. They have lived in different houses, moved to different places within the area, but they kept the piano. And they just kept moving it like any other thing that they own. So realize when you're doing this, it's something that should be done with an amount of time and patience, because you're wanting to do this in a way so you don't feel pressurized to buy something. In particular, bad places to buy pianos. Here's a few. Estate sales. That's the absolute worst place to buy a piano, is at an estate sale. The second place, obviously, garage sales. These are strange places to look for and shop for pianos, but I'm just talking about them because I come across circumstances where people have done this and live to regret it. And then there are obviously various social media sites, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. Sometimes, you can find something legit there that's being put up by a private party, but wow, it is a place to be very, very careful. I actually have found myself calling about pianos that I saw for sale that looked like screaming deals, and then quickly discovered that it was actually a scam. I called one place. They had a wonderful Boston grand piano, which is basically a Steinway designed Kawai. And when I inquired further about it, they said, well, yes, you can have the piano for next to nothing. One little catch. You need to pay to have it moved, and we have a mover for you to use. And oh, by the way, it's going to take a crane to get it out of the house because it's on the 6th floor of a condo. And I was like, I'm out. So you have to kind of be careful when you're finding yourself in these circumstances where you feel pressured. Just realize you're shopping for something that you're going to have for a very long time. Number 2, buying a new piano out of a box. This is a serious mistake. And I've seen people do it. I've seen piano dealers, unfortunately, do this to people. They go into the dealership, they see a new piano, they buy it, and the piano that was on the floor in the store is not the one that shows up at their house after the sale has been transacted. In fact, they find out that the piano is still in the box and it's on the back of the piano mover's truck, and they're uncrating it in their front yard. I don't know if you realize, a piano is not a mattress that you want to make sure you pull the plastic off of. It's not a cell phone that you want to be the one to pull that fun little clear sheet off the top. It's an instrument. And I tell you what, the pianos that are in the dealership on the floor have been prepared to sound awesome. And you want the one that you played. So my advice, if you're buying a brand new piano in a dealership, Get the serial number off the piano you played. Tell the sales guy, this is the one I want. And if he tries to coax you into taking one out of the warehouse, it's all still packaged up pretty. Realize the last time that piano was tuned was probably on the other side of the Pacific, if it's a Yamaha, Kauai, or something like that, and that you want the one that has been prepared for sale. Because if you get the brand new one that's been through a tough, trip and not been looked at, it's, kind of like buying an automobile. It's not been checked after it got off the ship or was delivered to the dealership. It's just a seriously bad idea. Number 3, getting sucked into the romance of buying an old piano. One thing that is so important to understand is that pianos have lifespans. When they get old enough to collect Social Security and be on Medicare, they're going to have very similar problems to someone in that stage of life. They are going to be cranky. They're going to need a lot of extra attention. They're going to have joints and parts that don't work super great. And you're buying something that may actually have a history that you're unaware of. There is just circumstances that people are a little clueless about. Pianos are very different than like guitars from the 30s or 40s that people rave about because they're so interesting and awesome and they're, fun to play. Or, even different is like the Stradivarius violins that are literally, very old and worth millions. Pianos, though, wildly different. When they get to the place where they are, 50, 60, 70 years old, all of that crushing weight that is going on inside of a piano statically, holding all those strings at pitch, pushing down on that crowned soundboard with the force of basically the weight of an elephant, over time is going to cause that soundboard to go flat. The action is going to be very worn. Realize that action is all, for the most part, held together with hide glue. And it's just a circumstance that's, not going to be enduring, to say the least. So stay away from the romance of buying the old piano. Buy something that's 20 or 30 years old or newer. That way, at least it's got another 20 or 30 years of life left in it if you're buying used. Number 4, buying a used piano that has a player system on it. And the player system also is used. You see the box that's underneath the key bed. It takes floppy disks or CDs, or maybe it's even, operating off of a USB thumb drive or something like that. Realize that those player systems, number one, there's not a ton of people around that work on them. So if you are seriously considering buying one of those, get a hold of whatever label or player system manufacturer you see on that piano and call them. See where there's a local tech. Have them come check that out. If your intention on buying this is to basically use that player system and see what sort of condition it is, what generation it is, whether or not it's even functional, because a lot of times, electronics age much more quickly than that piano ever will. And in some instances, people don't realize that these aftermarket players, they have to alter the piano dramatically in some instances to put that player system in there and make it play from the media that it is, being communicated to. So it's really, really not a good thing to buy a player system. I've had countless people that have acquired, pianos like that, hoping that, wow, maybe I can show up and make it work. Well, I show up and I call the manufacturer and they say, sorry, they basically need a new system because that one we don't make parts for anymore, or some other sort of scenario that basically makes it a bad deal. So avoid pianos that have player systems. And even more obvious, maybe, I would think it would be the old antique roll players. Oh my gosh, those pianos, for the most part, are super ancient. I mean, there are some from the 70s and so forth, But realize, you know, the pneumatic players, they actually use air, like you pump them with your feet, or they have a vacuum motor in them maybe, or something like that. Those are even more difficult and complicated to take care of because all of the rubber hose, there's literally dozens and dozens and dozens of feet of rubber hose in there. And I actually have a buddy of mine locally, not really locally, he's in Riverside, that second generation, maybe even third, taking care of player pianos. And it's very obvious to me in my conversations with him, if that player piano has not been rebuilt and all of that rubber hose replaced after like 20 years, you're going to have problems. So again, it's another situation where there's not really people around that work on them easily, or it's basically going to be very, very expensive to ever get it functioning again, if it's even possible. Okay, so don't buy a used piano with a used player on it. Okay, and then there is this business of Spinet pianos. Oh yes, the Spinet. The little stubby ones, they're about waist high in the back, upright piano that goes against the wall. Don't buy Spinets, please. Don't. I mean, I've got lots and lots of them I take care of, and they're in some instances serviceable, but realize the Spinet piano, particularly the Wurlitzers, the Kimballs, some of those, they were the bottom of the piano line. They were very inexpensively made and very inexpensive to buy, which means that they were cheap. Yeah, they do not hold up. Their DNA is not strong. And any Spinet piano that's probably more than 30 years old is probably junk. And yeah, all of them at this point are more than 30 years old because they quit making them in the 80s and early 90s. So yeah, stay away from Spinet pianos. And if you want more information about Spinet pianos, just scroll down on my page. I actually have a video about Spinet pianos, their history, and so forth like that. Now, the next thing that you want to make sure that you're very careful about is to make sure that you buy a piano with an understanding that when you buy it, it needs regular care. Yeah, buying a piano is something that does need service. And most of the piano makers recommend that you tune a piano every 6 months or so. And the first year that you have a piano, you might need to do it more frequently than that, depending upon your sensitivity to it slipping out of tune. Because brand new pianos, oh, they are a wild bucking bronco when it comes to tuning. They can be tough to keep in tune that first year or so. But as you consistently take care of it, they will stabilize, they will get evened out, and they will be lovely. So if you do that work on the front end, making sure that it's serviced regularly, that first couple of years, it will pay off big as you continue to own that instrument and enjoy it through the years. So realize that a piano, if you're buying one, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of work and a relationship with someone that's a piano technician to make sure that it stays up to snuff. Now, also, super important, if you buy a piano, particularly from a dealership or something like that, get a hold of your homeowner's insurance. Find out right away. I just bought this piano and I paid over, 5 digits for it. Make sure that it's included on your insurance policy. They may need to actually have it appraised. You can certainly go to my website, thepianoappraiser.com. I can help you with that, but don't buy a piano or inherit a piano or take a piano from someone and fall in love with it and then find out if some tragedy takes place that or something climactic or horrifying happens in your house and it's destroyed and the insurance company didn't know you had it. Therefore, you are now in a situation where the insurance company gets to value that. You don't. So replacing it will probably not go well. So make sure that if you acquire a piano, and particularly if it's a nicer one, particularly if it's a high dollar one, make sure your homeowner's insurance policy knows that you've got it. And this is the big tip that you've been waiting for. Maybe you've made it through this ridiculous 14 or more minutes of my ramblings and you've come to this spot. And this is the tip of the century. If you are in the market for a piano, become a buddy with a piano technician. Find somebody that is competent local to sort of be at your side, you know, if nothing else, to be able to consult with on the phone as you're navigating the various options that you might be exploring. Because all of the piano technicians that I know, they have vast experience with various models and makes and dealers and all of that sort of stuff. And they are awesome people to make sure that you have in your corner so that you are capable of making a good decision. And then having them there as the piano is brought to your home to help you take care of it. Because you know what? Piano technicians, they like having nice pianos to take care of. They don't want you to pick up something crappy. You know, they want you to get a nice one because it is an easier thing to put expectations on if it's a nicer instrument, as opposed to just going and pulling the piano out of the neighbor's garage, throwing it in your living room, and then finding out after you have got it, you call somebody to come tune it up, and then you open it up, find out it's been a hotel for mice, or been played by a gorilla for years, or is wildly older than you thought, or some other horrifying scenario. Just, you know, make some good decisions and get some advice. There is wisdom in a multitude of counselors, and at least a piano technician in your corner will help you to make that decision more confidently. So thank you for watching. And like I said, if you like these sorts of things, let me know. As you can see, my shop is empty. It's kind of weird. It feels so cavernous in here. All of those fire damaged pianos are gone. They went through. People were happy with them. And I will sally on. This is Brian Janey, the piano appraiser at pianoappraiser.com. If you have any questions or anything, just go to my website, reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you if you are perhaps in a situation where you're looking for a piano yourself. Thank you for watching.